Hello. All right, this is a question from Bella. Hi, Tabitha. I have a question about the adaptively famine hypothesis. In prehistory, someone fleeing famine would, I presume, start eating again when they saw the herd of buffalo or whatever. Why do you think the people with anorexia aren't able to start eating when they can see all that food is plentiful? It's the only part that doesn't quite make sense to me. I know you have an answer for everything. Well, that's not actually true, but so I'd love to hear your take. But, Bella, it is something that I've thought about a fair amount. And I think that there's a number of sort of stuff at play with this. I think that the one that is the biggest, probably influencing factor is that if it was a famine situation, then it would go on for a number of weeks, possibly months, but not much longer than that, because humans can't go completely, if it's a famine, then the food's going to run out, people are going to start dying, and it's just, if you're adapting to flee famine, if you're migrating, then you can only migrate for so long, can't you? You can't migrate forever without dying. So I think why that is important is because when people develop an eating disorder these days, when it's not because of a famine situation, there isn't a natural shut-off point. There isn't, you do it for a couple of weeks and then you find the herd of buffalo. And as most of us probably know, the first couple of weeks, maybe even the first couple of months that we start our eating disorder, it's kind of light, like the tendencies are there. I know with me, I didn't have a clue that I was developing an eating disorder, but I know that in that probably even the first 6 months, if I'd have turned it around then, I would have been able to turn it around quite easily. But I didn't know that I had a problem, so I didn't know that I need to turn it around. I was just kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm really good at not eating. Go me. And I really regret that I didn't turn it around, and I really wish somebody had known that I had an eating disorder in those first couple of months and been able to tell me, and then maybe I might turn it around before it really took hold. And what I'm saying when I'm saying took hold, what I mean by that is neural pathways start to form. And that is what happens with those of us that are developing eating disorders, not due to famine reasons, but those genes are kicking off, is we are doing this very repetitive behaviours, actions, reactions, thought patterns, and we're forming neural pathways. And so I think that is the difference, is that in actual famine situations, it wouldn't have gone on long enough for people to really form neural pathways around not eating and the way of thinking and all of that stuff. And so it probably would have kicked in, you would have helped your tribe migrate for a couple of weeks, maybe months, and then the food would have been found and it would have kicked out again because those neural pathways wouldn't have been formed. And it's actually thinking about that started to get me to understand neural rewiring and starting to think about that and working that out for myself. Is like, well, what's the difference there? Why do migrating animals kick out of it so quickly? Why would migrating humans have kicked out of it so quickly? The other thing that I think, and this is something I think it was Shan Geisinger said to me, I think it was her, that another difference would be as it would have been, I want to say herd. I spend too much time with horses. Tribe situation. Humans don't do herds. Well, maybe some of us do. But because it would have been a tribe situation, rather than these days when we develop an eating disorder, it's very isolated. We're the only ones, really. Well, unless you're in a treatment centre, but don't get me started on that. We're the only ones that are sort of not eating. Whereas it would have been more like everybody's not eating enough, everybody's hungry. And so when then you found the food, there would be everybody encouraging everybody to eat. It would be a bit of a party. It would be just this thing. And I think in that sort of situation, because everybody would be feast eating, it would be really a lot easier to get out of your head and get into feast eating because everybody around you would be eating a huge amount of food. And like I said, but I think the main thing being that those neural pathways wouldn't have had time to really take such a strong hold, and because it would have been weeks, months, not years. Anyway, I hope that explained that in a way that makes sense to you. Anybody else has got ideas on that? Love to hear it, because the answer is because, we don't really know what happened in prehistory, do we? We can just hypothesize about it, which kind of makes it so interesting. And then we can use science when it comes along to show us whether our hypotheses were true or not. But this is my best guess at explaining why that would happen. That makes in a way that would make sense to me. All right, bye.